that I'm just not going to connect with anyone. You know, the pain from connecting is so much more than what anyone has ever done to me, because those relationships become so precious, and I think that's why in domestic violence it seems so precious that there's a connection, as bad as it is.
Right.
And I struggled with identifying, balancing it out, the good and the bad, and finally figuring out, okay, it's more bad than good, and letting it go and realizing that I'll find another precious thing later, or a better thing. I didn't have to settle for that particular person in my life.
See, some of the reasons why I didn't leave also was because I was addicted to heroin for a long time, and I lived with one of the biggest dealers in Boston, Massachusetts, and I got free drugs all the time.
That's a great way to control you.
I mean, plus this guy would come home with thousands of dollars,
right,
and just throw it on the mattress, never count it, and when he'd get up to take a shower, I know that's terrible, but I'd help myself. But between that and being an alcoholic, and I was bipolar and didn't
right,
know it and wasn't
right,
diagnosed then, so I was like a raving nut.
Which is tough. I mean,
right,
so many of the vulnerable are targets of this kind of behavior. And that doesn't, I don't want to stereotype that everybody who is a victim of violence against women is vulnerable or in some way subject to that, because it can happen between strangers. My rape, I was driving down the street and someone jumped in my car, and at knife point, I still got a scar here from the knife, and you know, pulled over and raped me. I never saw the guy. And the problem with the syndrome of this, especially if you have it happen over and over in your life, is I was so able to disconnect. I couldn't remember what the guy looked like when I went to the police, and all I could remember is he happened to be black. And the police were trying to convince me with their photo album that they knew who I should pick. Like they were hinting like who I should, and I just walked away. I was like, because I'm not racist or it was just like, what are you trying to do to me? I don't remember. I'm telling you, I don't remember who it was, and you're trying to get me to hang it on somebody that. So that was the end of that. No charges were ever filed, but so many times violence for me has been strangers that out of the blue, like it's like an IED in war. You know it could happen, but it still shocks you. So, I think that's probably harder on women if they haven't had a series of events.
Well, I know how you feel. If somebody puts a knife to your throat, I was on the 16th floor, I was doing somebody a favor, and I get this black exchange student from somewhere, Africa or somewhere, was over here, and he told me to get in the bedroom.
I didn't
What
know
am I going to do? I got in the bedroom, and the guy got this knife at my throat.
Right.
And he's talking in a foreign language. I don't even know what he's saying. So I had to submit. It was either that or he was going to throw me out the window.
Right. And I think our survival instincts are a wonderful thing, because, at least for me, my belief system is that there's nothing that can happen to me that I can't deal with if I keep my focus on my faith. So I don't take being raped as a compliment, but I take it as a challenge to my personal self.
Survival.
Somebody thinks I can handle it. I need to look at the puzzle before me and figure out where my strength is and utilize the toolbox that I have, because I've just been challenged to deal with one more thing, and I can, because I've been promised I can. So that's kind of how I got through life, is on that promise that nothing's going to challenge me that I can't deal with. How did you walk away from that lifestyle?
Well, I was, I was in prison.
Yeah.
I was in prison for 9 years and 6 months, on and off. And the last time I was there, when I left, I went back home to Lowell, Massachusetts, and I met somebody, and right away I wanted to marry him because I'm impulsive, right? But I knew this guy had a lot to teach me, and he also had a lot to put up with, right? But he saved my life, because when I was with him, I stopped drinking, I stopped using drugs, I was a lie about everything. I stopped lying. My life started to change, little by little.
Right, it didn't explode because you stopped lying, which that's a fear, is if you start telling the truth, or if you start talking, which sometimes not talking is kind of like lying, that something bad is going to happen. Or if you get in a relationship where...
You get a call?
Almost. You get in a relationship where you're so used to either not expressing yourself or lying to defend yourself that you're not sure the reaction of a good man,
right,
how they're going to deal with it.
It was so bad that if he caught me lying or something, if it come out, I'd be, that's how bad I was. He wasn't going to hit me.
Reaction.
He never hit me. He said, what is wrong with you? You know? But anyway, we were married for quite a while, and I helped him bring up his children, and now we are divorced, and we are best of friends, and we have been. There's nothing we
And
went
still
through
support each other.
Right.
And that's just a beautiful thing, because then you know you have a friend.
So God has given me so much, like some people will say, my God, you've been in prison, all your life story, and blah, blah, blah. How, don't you feel ashamed? I said, no. No.
No. How did you pull away from a marriage?
And I was young. I was only 20 when I pulled away. It took my mother... I remember it very distinctly. I was on the phone with her, and he was in the background. And she said, you need to get out. And so many times we don't listen to our parents, but I knew that I needed to get out, and I knew that she was going to give me the support. If it wasn't the support of my parents, I would have never gotten out.
No. Well, I'm hoping that will work in certain situations I'm familiar with right now. Another myth. Victims of domestic violence have it easy leaving their abusers, so it's just a choice of staying. The facts are 1/3 of homeless families seeking emergency shelter are turned away. And in one recent survey of U.S. cities, domestic violence was found to be the primary cause of homelessness more than half the time. Victims of domestic violence are often prevented from getting or keeping jobs by their abusers. Many victims who leave face poverty, unemployment, and homelessness as a result of leaving. And sometimes if your children aren't being hit and only you are, you can't, I know myself and other women have weighed that, why would I put my kids in, especially a very urban shelter or other strange situation on the street with no job, rather than just let them beat me. I do want to read one poem that I wrote, since I had promised online I would, since I'm a poet/writer. And then we're going to wrap it up. While I read this poem, if we could have the phone number up of the resources that are available. I'm giving you national numbers because they will immediately hook you up to the appropriate number here in this state. All you have to do is dial the number, and there's a number for domestic violence and there's a number for sexual assault. There they are. I'm going to read this poem, which when I write poems, it's not focused on what's gone on, but really me trying to relax and, as you said, create hope. The sky is dark at supper time, just as it was all day. I can see the rain from my balcony. It started by the church on the hill, the one with the red roof and stone facade. Sheets of it obscured the green of the trees. It was the wind that first gave away the rain's path. 15 pigeons flocked and soared together, following the wind's map. They